You're listening to Raiding the Fringe with Poda, Ostinius, Nepids, and Dr. Lee. From ancient civilizations to the cutting edge of science, from exploring the outer reaches of space to the Atlantean depths, we discuss the topics of the unknown and the possibilities of the bizarre. Are you hungry to expand your horizons? Come get your fill as we raid the fringe.
Hello, once again, and welcome to another episode of Raiding the Fringe. I'm Dr. Lee, and with me, as always, although still remotely, is Ostinius.
Hello.
Poda.
Sup?
And Nepids.
Good evening.
Today on Raiding the Fringe, we are going to raid the subject of astrology and zodiac, horoscopes, and all of that pseudoscience stuff. Not to be confused with astronomy. Astrology just deals with the alignment of the planet and the stars to talk about your past, your present, and sometimes your future. Ostinius, do you believe in horoscopes?
No, I believe that people could apply damn near any sentence to their lives however they want to. So the people who want to buy into it are absolutely swept off their feet and, oh my gosh, there's no way you could have possibly have known that. You know, ultimately I could be John Edwards and, you know, say that I'm communicating with spirits and say, you've had trouble in your life. Well, if I'm talking to a 35-year-old, yeah, they probably had trouble in their fucking life at some point in time. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard to discern. So, no, ultimately, I believe it's a bunch of hooey.
And Poda, how do you stand on it?
I really don't stand on it. I don't support it. I do believe horrors use scope. It's kind of a necessity. But as far as Ostinius was saying with future telling and trying to dictate your life around it, I don't believe it does that. Now, since you did note the difference between astronomy and astrology, I was going to say I don't remember if this one actually has anything to do with trying to map the stars in the sense of a mathematical basis for reason, trying to pay attention to the alignments of the planets. I'm not 100% sure it really does affect anything, depending where they're at in correspondence to where we are.
Okay. Nep, how do you feel about horoscopes?
Horoscopes is in the fact of, telling how people are, or telling their future, or their day, or what it's going to be like, or like the way that like the horoscopes are, or what they're based off of, which is the zodiac.
No. How accurate do you feel that they may or may not be?
Accuracy-wise, it just depends on how much the person reads into it, I believe. So no, I don't really have a complete basis on horoscopes. Now, granted, there's a lot, I would say that definitely a lot of perception that goes into this because, people have been researching this and studying the stars since the beginning of time. So they would say that it's basically just nailing down that if you were born in this part of the time, you're more likely to be like this, I guess so. But,
yeah.
Again, what he said, it could definitely be what you want it to be. I could act like a different type of horoscope, you know what I mean? So they're just generalizations, I believe.
Yeah, they are. And there's only so much you can say to the accuracy of one or the other. Ostinius, do you have something you wanted to say?
I'll wait, Mr. Researcher.
Well, yeah, you call me Dr. Lee because I can fix shit. You can't fix shit if you don't know shit. And so, yeah, I like to do research on our topics once in a while. And I learned a whole lot about where the zodiac comes from. Well, okay, there are different types of zodiacs. The ones that we go off of, well, I'll just call it the English zodiac, the Greek zodiac, whatever you want to call that, where each month gets a certain sign. But then there's the Chinese zodiac that does one sign every year, and each sign has an element. And so it's a 60-year rotation. And on top of that, with the Chinese zodiac, they have an hourly zodiac split into 12 for 12 two-hour periods during the day. And then there's the Mayan zodiac, where they have 20 different signs, and they go by the day on a 20-day cycle. And the current one that we go off of, well, you can go off of whatever one you want. But the one currently at least in the Western Hemisphere, is the Greek one, where we've got the 12 different signs. Used to be 13, and they got rid of the 13th sign. And if you would put that back into the zodiac, it was Ophiuchus, the snake charmer, was a 13th sign that used to be in the zodiac. It fell out of popularity mostly because with astrology, even though it's just predictions and crap by the alignment of the stars, there's still a lot of math that goes into it where they determined what the dates are and stuff. And since the year ends on 365 and a fourth days, it has slid out of whack. And now all the signs of the people don't align with where the sun is in the constellations that it equates to. So everything is off from what it used to be, but they kept the dates where they are.
That's what I'm saying. I believe some basis of that was purported in they use special constellations, and it has to do with the constellation in relation to that time of year and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's as the sun passes through that particular constellation around the band around the Earth, the 12 constellations that equate to the 12 signs of the zodiac. When it was set up, that was literally when the sun passed through those constellations by our perspective.
Yeah, but scientifically, with the natural tilt of the Earth and the way timelines have progressed, it's been so long that could absolutely be different.
Correct.
Well, we got new math now, so could we have even 14 zodiac signs if we wanted to?
I suppose if we wanted to make up new ones, but the purpose of the zodiac is that it is a cosmic rule. Yes, we know now that that per science that it's just our perspective on the universe, and it's not really the changes in the universe. But it was set up as an astronomical constant, not something that our perception can change. This is just fact. This is how things are, and this is a way that you can find out how you fit into it. And so adding a 14th wouldn't be any good. And I think the reason the 13th was removed is because it was only a week long, and it cut into Scorpio's time.
And we know how Scorpios feel about that. Yeah.
Whoa!
Okay, so then you talk about that kind of basis and how it's kind of switched over. What about people who are naturally on the curve, people who were born on the cusp, and they say that has special relevance or whatever?
Yeah, they say that you will adopt the traits of the neighbor if you're close to the cusp, which makes sense. It shouldn't be an on and off switch. You know, you're born on January 20th versus January 19th, a specific example included. What makes you closer to the 18th than the 20th? You know, on one neighbor you share all your traits, and on the other neighbor you don't. It doesn't make sense to have a black and white on and off switch. You'd want to say that the people near the border there would obviously share traits of both. However, looking at the traits given to all of these, it really seems like the traits of neighboring signs share a lot of characteristics anyway.
Okay.
So when you get into the descriptions of the zodiacs, it's up to interpretation, but a lot of these can be anyone if you spin it right.
So are there any, do they leave it cloudy? Is it up to speculation? Are there any definitives?
There are. Each of the 12-month zodiac signs are split up into their basic elements of air, water, fire, and earth. In the Chinese zodiac, there's a fifth element. Gold is its own element. But these elements all classify, so there's 4 elements, so that's 3 per element, and those months share certain traits, and then each month has its own trait, and when you combine those is how they develop their horoscopes for each individual person. For example, I am going to read 4 horoscopes for today, and they are for all 4 of our birth dates. This will be a little game. I'm going to read 4 horoscopes, today's horoscope, and let's see if we can't figure out whose is whose. And then you get points for being right. We'll all be able to vote.
Okay.
And I am not including the 13th zodiac sign since nobody goes by that anymore.
Now, is this the Western Hemisphere horoscopes, or is this Chinese menu?
Yeah, actually, I didn't know about some Mayan horoscope. I mean, I guess they should have one if they had a calendar, but that was news. That was news to me.
A lot of the stories of our current horoscope came from ancient Babylonia. And as we have them, they were translated into Greek mythology. And there's a great Greek mythology story for each one of these. And I'd love to at least give you a synopsis of the stories for each of these at some point,
Sure.
after this game at least. So I am going to start off with: you are no longer sure if anything that you learned in the past is true. Give your heart a go instead of rushing through content in your mind. Practicality will easily be cast aside for emotional pleasure, but in ways that remove guards meant to protect you.
Well, it's not Poda. I'll tell you that much.
Seems kind of vague. I don't know. Yeah.
That's the best way to predict something. Stay vague. If
Yeah.
you get too specific and you say, today you will find 3 specks of dust on your left hand.
Oh, I like it. Someday, at some time.
Because then
Something's gonna happen.
This has to be something that can apply to 1/12 of the world.
Well, statistically, yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah. So give your heart a go instead of rushing through content in your mind. Practicality will easily be cast aside for emotional pleasure, but in ways that remove guards meant to protect you.
I'm going to vote you, Doctor, because I really am not sure on that one.
I was gonna vote Net, but I'll vote Lee as well.
Yeah, I'll go with Lee because I don't. It's either Lee or Poda. Although I don't really know what Lee's sign is.
Can we mark our answers? I'd rather not share it because then as we go along, we'll know. Chris was number 1, so you know what I mean.
Do you have something you can jot it down? You could just give yourself a little thing, and then I can just ask you them all at the end.
So, game time. Poda, Lee, Nep, and me. Woohoo! Okay, so for number 1, everybody voted Lee, right?
Yep.
Well, Lee, I guess, really isn't a participant in the game.
Yeah, I can't guess because I know the answers.
Okay.
So are you writing them down for everybody? I've already got them written down for everybody. I just thought you wanted a secret ballot at it.
Okay, I am. Yeah.
Okay, but you just said everybody said
You just
Lee.
called everybody's out again. That's why I was asking.
Well, excuse me. All right.
Well, it's not secret if I know what you put.
Well, I'm waiting until later. We don't know that was actually Lee. Lee knows who it actually was. I don't know who it actually was.
All right. Horoscope number 2. Torn around the edges, you are still holding on to the core of the issue and won't allow yourself to fall apart over it, even if you are in pain and feeling pushed off the edge. Imagine the set of beliefs that don't help and release them, returning their weight to those who gave them to you years ago. Needs of the body should be acknowledged in any way possible and as openly as you can. In the sense of protection and preservation leads you towards self-destructive choices. Do what you can to make yourself physically stronger.
That just sounded like a self-help seminar.
That's
what horoscope is. It's self-help. The reason this has become so popular throughout the ages is because it gives you a sense of worth and direction, whether it's accurate or not. It's something you can hold on to.
I would say that would be Taurus, so I guess it would have to be me.
Oh, Nep, you're voting for yourself?
Yep. Just because of the key words that he used.
Truth be told, I would also say myself.
Could be.
Poda?
Is this a secret or?
I ain't writing crap down.
Just say who you vote for. Who do you think that pertains to?
This time, yeah, I'd have to agree with you too about one of you two possibly, because I haven't looked into.
To.
You got to pick one.
Well, yeah, I'm on the. It's on the cusp. It's right there. It's got to be both of you.
Don't play it safe, Poda. Dive off the deep end.
All right, I wrote one down.
Just you say it. I'm writing it down.
We're not doing the secret ballot idea.
Okay.
You wrote it down. You should be able to just say it.
Yeah.
He was going to cheat. That's why I don't.
I didn't write it down. I was about to.
Well, if you already made the decision to write it down and you're about to, you already made the decision.
Yeah. Come on, Poda.
Nah, I'll vote Chris this time.
Oh, snap. All right.
I could be wrong. I could say myself again. I might do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we could still say Lee. Nobody said you. All right, number 3.
Number 3. You aren't ready for some things to come your way, but you're easily provoked to prove your bravery and readiness. Keep your heart on top of the priority list, realizing that this is what true bravery is all about today, and don't succumb to any influences from the side. The balance that is to be achieved right now is the one between your inner world and the interactions you have with others. See how they reflect in one another before dismissing anything at all.
I would say Chris.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I really don't know your guys' cards. I'm just guessing now.
I had a sense of conceitedness. I thought me that time because
all
of
right.
certain words used that I also use in my vocabulary for apply to reasons that they really shouldn't be applied to.
Okay.
Okay, so we ready for number 4?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Thinking about other people's priorities and your own, you will reach conclusions that are out of the ordinary and standing out, but they might be a bit less relevant than you might imagine in the long run. Depth of mind is usually an asset, but at this time, common sense and practicality have a chance to lift you higher and lead towards joyous moments and interactions with others.
Social interaction.
That's Lee.
Say what?
That's Lee.
I was going to say the same thing.
Okay, so we messed up on POTA somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
I would also say that's Lee. Poda?
Do you want to hear the first one again then to change your mind?
no.
Yeah, no. Oh, well, he's giving us an option here. That's the last one.
I haven't
Yeah,
given
I
you
know.
any answers yet.
Let's wait for Poda. Poda, what do you think?
We'll say Nep on that one.
Okay.
I'm not an astronomer. I don't know.
All right. What was the first one? Say the first one again.
You are no longer sure if anything that you learned in the past is true. Give your heart a go instead of rushing through the content in your mind. Practicality will easily be cast aside for emotional pleasure, but in ways that remove guards meant to protect you. Hold on to safety no matter the love. There are lessons you already went through and don't have to go through them all over again in the exact same pattern.
Yeah, that's POTA.
Yeah.
I'm changing. Last one's Lee. First one's POTA.
I agree.
I'd like to make that my final answers.
I'm with that. Poda, you want to change?
Nah.
All right.
So the first one. What did you guys each say they were?
POTA.
Let Ostinius do it.
Nepitz and I said that it was Poda. Poda says it was you.
It was Nep.
Oh, nobody gets it correct. Okay.
No star cookies, moon pies.
All right. The second one. Imagine a set of beliefs that don't help and release them, returning their weight to those that gave it to you years ago. Needs of the body should be acknowledged in any way possibly and as openly as you can.
Everybody, I gotta go piss. No, it's
The needs of the body. So what were the votes on number 2?
Nep said that it was him. I said that it was me, and Poda said that it was me.
It was, in fact, Ostinius. 2 votes correct.
Oh,
You got one.
We're still safe on the island today. So far.
All right. And the third one. Keep your heart on top of the priority list, realizing that this is what true bravery is all about today, and don't succumb to any influences from the side. The balance that is to be achieved right now is one between your inner world and the interactions you have with others.
Oh, that'd be Lee.
well, Poda and I said that was Poda, and then Nepitz said that was me.
That one was POTA.
Oh my gosh, me and Poda neck and neck. Look at us.
Yeah.
Man.
Dude, I suck at these games.
All right, that means the last one's got to be Lee.
That means the last one was me. Thinking about other people's priorities and your own, you will reach conclusions that are out of the ordinary and standing out, but they might be a bit less relevant than you might imagine in the long run.
Yeah, I got one.
Yep, Nep got one. Poda lost that last one. So that means Nep has 1, Poda has 2, and I got 3, bitches. Woo!
Woo! A first, second, and third place. I didn't think that we'd have it clear like that.
Yeah. Well,
That's
you did
pretty cool.
Yes, so that kind of sucks. But.
All right, so Nepitz's sign is Taurus, which is the sign of the bull. It's an earth sign. The story of Taurus came from the story of Gilgamesh. The goddess Ishtar sent a bull to kill Gilgamesh for spurning her attractions.
That shouldn't have been so ugly.
That's right.
I wouldn't want to fuck a bull. I don't blame you, Ned.
And Ostinius, yours is Capricorn, and that's the fish-tailed goat-looking thing. And actually, the story of that is it's Pan. You know, the satyr with the flute, pan flute.
Yeah.
When the Titans came to scare the gods out of Olympus, and Typhos rained down on everyone, the gods fled. Pan turned himself into a bottom half of a fish and the top half of a goat to confuse Typhos, and fled into, well, it's either the sea or the river, depending on the story. And then he created a special horn called the Panikos for Zeus to defeat the Titans with. And it's called the Panikos, and it made all the Titans run and flee. And that's where we get the word panic from.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
So thanks to you, we have panic.
I'm a billy goat bass.
Yeah.
Take me dancing there.
You could be one of the technical livestock of the sea monkeys, or aquanauts, we could say. I don't know.
Oh, there you go. And then POTUS and Aries. And we all know that Aries is a ram. But the ram, the original Aries ram story is Poseidon had the hots for this nymph, turned her into a goat in order to keep everyone else away from her. But that meant he had to transform into a ram in order to mate with her. And so they had a baby, and that goat was the ram that had the golden fleece for Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, okay.
And that's the ram of Aries. And I am a Scorpion. I'm a Scorpio. And the Scorpion was the one sent to kill Orion the Hunter. Orion had threatened to kill every animal on the planet. And so they sent a scorpion to sting him and kill him. Some stories say that it wasn't supposed to be every animal on the planet, but it was specifically Taurus that he was hunting, the bull.
Oh.
And so in the sky, they're shown in opposition, and Orion always rises first, but near the end of the night, it sets first while the scorpion's coming after it. So I thought that was kind of neat.
That is kind of cool.
Not to take a jab at the ocean, which I'm not a great fan of anyway. Poseidon sounds like a weird cat on that one, because I understand, like, whisking away your prize. You don't want people to mess with it. But turning it into a goat, and then turning into a goat, because yes, coming across a guy in the woods, getting down with a goat would be noticeable.
You fuck one goat!
But
Grandma, no!
But when he did choose to get down with her, why not change her back from a goat?
Well, yeah, okay, so if you think about it, although we put these gods and ultimately made us in our image or whatever, so it's a humanoid kind of deal, if you had the ability to change anything you wanted into anything, and you could change yourself into anything, you know that the humans that are there, this beautiful woman, if you changed her into a goat, then the humans aren't going to want her anymore. And you could put her anywhere you wanted in the forest or anything like that, and then change yourself into a ram. You're just, I mean, the gods were kind of gross, man. Like they're just as interested in this beautiful fucking goat as they are a beautiful fucking human. But they know that other humans aren't going to be as interested in this goat. So you put this goat in a lone pasture with no other goats. You turn yourself into a ram, so that way proper mating can ensue. You know, as weird as it is, it kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting hung up on is he had to put her in a very specific spot, because we all know there are some people that goats be damned, it won't matter.
It's like, let me make this goat and put it in the middle of a village in Saudi Arabia. No,
yeah.
I mean,
he's like, and I'm going to put it in Georgia. No, wait a minute. I better not.
Wait a second. I'm not going to put it on the edge of the cliff where an eagle will swoop down and drop it to its bloody death. it's premeditated to a point. I mean, obviously, if you're a god and all of eternity is forever, and you're like obsessing about this one woman, they did some pretty effed up s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of Poseidon and his weird decisions, another one of the signs, the Cancer, the crab. So when this Typhos, this Titan, came down to scare away the gods, and they all went and hid, Poseidon left a giant crab in charge of his daughters, the sea nymphs. And this crab was guarding them, and he gave this crab immortality, so he could guard them forever. And a giant vampire squid named Vomari was swimming by. A few of these sea nymphs escaped, and the crab couldn't go after him because he was busy guarding the rest. And this vampire squid said, "I'll go hunt them down for you and bring them back." He went out, hunted them down, and ate them. Came back to the crab, says, "I couldn't find them." Crab knew he was lying, so they started a battle. And this vampire squid injured him, but since he's immortal, he's got an immortal wound and he's always hurt. By the time Poseidon came back, he's like, "You know what? You did a good job anyway. You can live amongst the stars forever instead of dying."
I was just about to ask, what about the other ones? Like, how did they get immortalized in the stars?
The reason I found this crab story particularly interesting is because it sounds an awful lot like The Little Mermaid. Daughters, there's crab in charge. Ursula looks kind of vampire squidish.
So
I just thought that was a parallel.
Yeah. And ironically, the first god to get crabs was Poseidon, god of the sea. Which, that works.
I mean, he pulled in a lot of tail. I mean, why do you think they called him Poseidon? Oh, right? Am I right?
That's Poseidon the point.
Lots of other fish in the sea.
All right. So, a quick rundown of the other ones. You want to know where the other ones came from?
Yeah. Well, let's have at it.
All right. The first sign of the year technically is Aries, even though it's March. That's the first of the zodiac year.
Well, spring year, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So we talked about Aries. We talked about Taurus. Gemini, the sign of the twins, was Castor and Pollux. They were Zeus turned himself into a swan and did it with the Queen of Sparta. And she actually gave birth to eggs. He did this the same night that she lay with her own husband, the King of Sparta. So 2 eggs were spawned. One was mortal and one was immortal for the 2 fathers. And so Castor was mortal and Pollux was immortal. And Castor was hunted down and nearly killed. And Pollux was given the option whether he can live immortally or give half of his immortality to his brother. And so he opted to give his brother half of his immortality. And from then on, they can only spend every other day in Olympus or in Hades.
Every other day?
Just every other day. So there's that story. Leo the lion was originally the Nemean lion, the first of Hercules' tasks that he had to do. The lion was terrorizing a village, and nothing could pierce its skin. And so he spent 2 months tracking it down to its cave and strangled it. And then he took its pelt off using the lion's own claws to cut through the pelt. And he made a cape out of it that protected him from then on.
The Disney rendition, it was Scar's from Lion King. It was his pelt that he was wearing.
Yeah.
For the urn. I loved that.
Virgo, the Virgin, was originally Astraea, the celestial virgin. She's the goddess of purity. And she was the last goddess to live amongst the mortals. And then finally, because of corruption of man, decided to leave and flew up into the heavens. And she became the judge of humans' souls, which leads us straight into Libra, the balance scales. When you get into the tale of Libra, it was either Astraea or Dike, who was the goddess of... Yeah, Dike.
Lesbian fun times, woo!
She was the goddess of justice. So some people are arguing that it was her, but Astraea supposedly did that as well. And she's the one that sent Scorpio to kill Orion for hunting Taurus.
Starting to sound like a sitcom.
It really is when you play it all, you read this whole thing.
It's the ancient Game of Thrones.
Okay, now Sagittarius is often depicted as a centaur archer. The archer is definitely more important than the centaur in the symbolism, especially since the constellation only has 2 legs. Originally, there was a Babylonian god named Nergal, and he was an archer centaur. When it got to the Greeks, they split it up between 2 different stories. One of Crotus, the son of Pan. He invented archery. And so sometimes he's depicted as an arching satyr.
What
was
about
that?
Artemis?
That has nothing to do with Artemis. Artemis was goddess of the moon, and so it wasn't part of the astronomy per se because it was the moon moves differently. It was a different part.
But that was earlier, and wasn't she an archer?
Yeah, she was an archer. She's goddess of the hunt.
Okay, fair enough.
And protector of children. But the other side of that is it could have been Chiron, because he's a famous centaur. He's the only centaur that didn't go animalistic. He went more human and supposedly taught a lot of the philosophers. And he was immortal. And he was accidentally shot with a poisonous arrow by Hercules because the other centaurs had stolen some of his wine. And so he was shooting at them with poisonous arrows and accidentally hit Chiron, even though Chiron was Hercules' friend. So Chiron had this unhealable wound from this poison arrow, plus he was immortal. And he had suffered for so long, he asked to please let me die, give my immortality to Prometheus. And so he gave his life to give Prometheus immortality so he could bring us fire. All sorts of cool old stories, man.
Now, okay, so you said originally it came from Babylonia, right?
Most of these.
So then why do we change them now to Greek instead of the Babylonian ones? What's the difference?
For the most part, there's no difference. Greek is more of an updated of the same story. And some of them, we can't trace them exactly back. We know that the story came from Babylonia, but we didn't get the story itself, just a reference that it came from something. I've got 2 more. I didn't say Aquarius or Pisces.
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, we can get to that here in a second, but wouldn't that also be like an affect of the Roman Catholic invasion, subversion of other things?
Now, this is way before Catholicism.
No, I know, but that's why if they came from Babylonia...
Wouldn't
the Roman Catholic thing make them more of a older kind of thing and subvert it?
The popes themselves believed in astrology. A lot of the earliest popes, Cetus, I think, was the first pope to use it, and Pope Julius II used astrology to pick his coronation date. So they adopted it. They didn't, and they helped spread it. So that's why we all know the Greek version's the best.
That's what I was saying. The explanation of why, instead of ancient Babylonia kind of thing, why it would be more of the Greek Roman heritage.
Yeah.
That would more commonly known.
Yeah, right on with that. Yeah. Okay, so the only 2 I didn't mention before was Aquarius, and that is Ganymede, however you want to pronounce it. He was Zeus's cupbearer. He was the first mortal to ever be made immortal. He got hired as a cupbearer, and so, yeah, best promotion ever.
Yeah, the meek shall inherit the earth, right?
And then Pisces, it's the symbol of the 2 fish. Well, apparently the fish were Aphrodite and her son Eros when they were fleeing that Titan. They transformed themselves into fish and tied a string between them so that way they wouldn't get separated. And so that's why it's a sign of 2 fish going in separate directions, or they're combined with this little stick string.
Well, this god hunting them, that seems noticeable. 2 fish tied together?
Well, I mean, if they were looking for 2 fish tied together, at least they weren't looking for a fucking ram humping a goat in the mountains.
Man, that really scarred you, didn't it?
All right. So at this point, I'm going to switch to the Chinese zodiac.
Cookie.
because it's totally different. Like, it's so different.
It is
I
very
eat
different.
Chinese food traditionally when they have like, oh, you can get the dragon and tiger. Dragon is what they called snake. They just named it dragon, and tiger is what they named cat. So if you had a dragon and tiger, you're eating snake and cat.
Well, I don't know about that because snake
I do know
and
about that. I actually, there was a guy that I worked with from China at Wonderworks when we did that, and he told me that is explicitly what it was, and that blew my mind. It might be different nowadays, but Phoenix was chicken, tiger was cat, and dragon was snake. Is what he told me.
well, maybe for restaurant lingo, but the Zodiac they have dragon and snake.
Oh, right. Zodiac.
So-
I was talking about Chinese food.
Well, the Chinese placemat is where we all get our information from. It's the definable source.
Well, apparently I'm a rat and not an ox. I prefer to eat an ox than a rat, but
All right, so we've got rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig.
how many is that?
It's 12.
Largest rock, paper, scissors game I've ever heard.
Rock, paper, scissors, dragon. I win again. All right. So, and everyone knows that the Chinese New Year doesn't start on the 1st. As far as the zodiac goes, it's based off of lunar cycles. So the new year actually changes from year to year on what day it is, but it's never before January 20th. And it is never before January 21st and never after February 20th. So it's somewhere within that whole month is when they can decide that the new year is, judging by, the relation of the planets and everything. So even if on that placemat you said you were born in 1985, the year of the ox, as Osinius mentioned, his birthday is at the beginning of January, and so technically he goes into the previous year and he's a rat. Nepitz is a tiger. And Poda is an ox, and I'm a horse, because I'm older than all y'all.
I've always grown up knowing that I was an ox. That's bullshit, man.
Oh, he brings the truth.
Sorry to let you down.
Bullshit.
All right.
Being a rat. Matt was a rat.
Since I've been telling stories anyway, there is a reason that these animals are in this order. The rat is first, and the pig was last. So the Jade Emperor was having a birthday party, and he was inviting all of the animals to the Heavenly Gate to be his new guardians. And he sent an immortal down to tell them that whoever gets there first will get the best rank.
Was I like a ratatouille? Please tell me I'm like a ratatouille. Oh, I was the emperor's chef.
So in the cycle, technically rat is first and pig is last. And here's the story of why. The next day, the animals set off towards the Heavenly Gate. The rat got up very early. On his way to the gate, he encountered a river. He had to stop there owing to the swift current. After waiting a long time, Rat noticed Ox about to cross the river and swiftly jumped into Ox's ear. The diligent Ox didn't mind at all and simply continued. After crossing the river, he raced towards the palace of the Jade Emperor. Then suddenly Rat jumped out of the Ox's ear, ran up ahead, and said, "Ha ha, I'm first." While Ostinius does his Brock Baker impersonations.
How big is this ox and how
I'm
big is
helping the
this
story because Poda is the ox.
That's why I'm thinking, how big is this ox and how big is this rat? Where it's like climbs in the ear and the ox is like, that's fine.
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
cool.
bother me at all.
So the rat is first and the ox came second. Third and fourth came tiger and rabbit, and that is merely because they are so super fast. Tiger's faster than rabbit, but they were both fast and they came through next. After that, the good-looking dragon was fifth and was immediately noticed by the Jade Emperor, who said the dragon's son could be sixth. But the dragon's son didn't come with him that day. Just then the snake ran up and said, "I'm his adopted son," and so he said, "Okay, you're sixth."
That's awesome.
After that came the horse and the goat. They were very kind and modest, and each let the other go first. And so the Jade Emperor saw how polite they were and says, you two get the next 2 slots of 7th and 8th.
Which one's first?
Horse.
Ha ha! Bigger is better, bitch.
Bigger is better. Monkey played around too long, so he stayed behind, but then he jumped between trees and stones, caught up to be 9th. And then there's not really a very fun story for Rooster, Dog, and Pig. They were slow, but they made it. Meanwhile, there's no cat because cats are lazy and sleeps all day. The cat and the rat have always fought. And when it came time, the day came for the party, the cat was a bully and he was beating up on the rat. And he says, now you make sure to wake me up and let me know when it's time to leave for the party. And the rat said, sure thing. And then never woke him up and took off. And the cat didn't wake up until everything was over. And so in revenge, cats from then on always hunt mice.
I thought you were going to say we're food, but yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. If we're talking still astrology, with the other things in, Pisces and all that kind of stuff, they still have a constellation type basis. In this Chinese zodiac, do they interpret the stars differently to form different constellations to match?
This whole thing is based off of that story more than the literal constellations. The alignment of where the stars are help them determine what area they are. But because it's annual and because it's hourly, they don't go directly by the stars. In fact, what most people don't mention about the Chinese zodiac is your hour of birth is more important than your year of birth. So if you were born in the rat hour, which is 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., then you have more of the rat personality traits than the year would define.
Ooh, that makes me super rat.
And this is the year of the rat, by the way. 2020 is the year of the rat. Woo! It's your year. Bad news is your birth year is your unlucky year.
Truth be told, I'm actually having a pretty good year. I mean, people are talking shit about 2020. I'm having a really good year, guys. So far for me this year, it's awesome.
All right, so now similar to that earlier game, I will take the 4 of our animals. I won't tell you what animal they are, but I'll read off characteristics, and we'll see if we can't guess whose is whose. Ostinius, you gonna keep track of these?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
I really appreciate the dragon parenting skills because when the snake spoke up, he did not correct him.
Yeah,
he's like, yep, sure enough.
I'm his adopted son. Yeah, okay. I'm already in.
What I don't understand is that everything was made it by its speed, just about, but yet the ox got there before the tiger.
Oh, because the ox and the rat woke up first. They were the earliest to rise.
Well, we know that's not accurate for me at all, really. No.
First set of characteristics. Brave, competitive, unpredictable, confident. They are very charming and well-liked by others, but sometimes they are likely to be impetuous, irritable, and overindulged.
Yep, that's me.
Stubborn personalities and tough judgment, great confidence, and indomitable fortitude. Competent leaders. They will not make preparations for anything, but can handle anything as it comes along. So that was the first.
Yep, this guy. I'm saying that.
Yep, Poda?
It's difficult. Y'all got those skills. I don't know.
I would say it's a tiger.
Lee, it could be Lee as well.
No.
No prep work, though. That doesn't really sound like Lee.
Yes, it does.
I would say it's me.
Ooh, Nep saying it's him.
Who knows, man? I get it wrong anyways.
Poda?
I'll say Nep this time.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Getting really hungry for Chinese food. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, but my Chinese restaurant just doesn't deliver. You have to go through Grubhub now again.
Alrighty. This next one. Quick-witted, resourceful, smart, but lacks courage. Rich imaginations and sharp observations. They can take advantage of various opportunities as well. Diligent workers, but thrifty. and generally become wealthy and prosperous.
Ooh,
Okay.
man. I would say between Nep and Lee on that one.
Yeah, I'd say Lee.
I would say it's the rat. I would say it's Chris. I'm just
Oh.
going by the characteristics of what the story was, since you said it was story based.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening to what he's saying. Yeah. All right. Number 3.
Diligent, dependable, strength and determination, having an honest nature, strongly patriotic, have ideals and ambitions for life, and attach importance to family and work.
Yeah, well,
They have great patience and a desire to make progress. They can achieve their goals by consistent effort. They are not much influenced by others or the environment, but persist in doing things according to their ideals and capabilities.
That's the ox.
yeah, I was gonna say I think I'd take that one. It lost me a little bit on patriotic, but I have made statements in my life, so
I'm actually saying that's Nep on that one. I'm going to put that on Nep.
I'm glad you're keeping track of this. It sounds like we're just saying whatever. It was either between whoever I said or Lee. I don't know, because they both sound like the same type of animal.
Are we ready for the fourth one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Extremely animated, active, and energetic. Love to be in a crowd, and they can usually be seen on occasions such as concerts, theater performances, meetings, sporting events, and parties. Deft sense of humor. Horses, oh, I just gave it away. Are masters of repartee.
I was gonna say you
They
anyway.
love to take
but
center stage and delight in audiences everywhere.
that
A little
that is you.
self-centered.
Yeah.
Self-centered, but that doesn't mean isn't interested in others' problems. More
Yep.
cunning than intelligent, and lack confidence.
Oh yeah, that's you. We
Damn
all
it!
get
I
one.
gave it away.
We all get one.
All right. Well, let's start with number 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll start with number 4 then. We'll work backward.
I'd
And
say
that
it's
was
Lee.
that was me.
surprising.
That sounds like you though.
There's I don't really like being in the crowd at all.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks to hear. It sucks
do
to
like
hear how
theater.
you are. You fucking love it. You don't know it. You love it.
I like to be needed, but I don't like to be among them.
Yeah, you do. The more people around you, the more pats on the back you get. So there you go.
Okay.
All right. So we'll work backwards. The third one.
What did everybody say for the third one?
Nep and Poda both said Poda. I said Nep.
It was Poda.
Oh, snap.
Oh, looks like I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Working backwards. We're at number 2 now. What did people say for number 2?
Well, me and Poda said you, and we know that's not right. And Nep said me.
It was you. It was Ostinius.
Oh, shit.
Oh. Who took it all?
That
Nope.
was so crazy to say. But me and Lee are similar. Oh, shit.
And then, of course, the number 1 was Nepitz.
Nep
Oh.
and Poda get another.
What was your score last time, though?
Mine was 3.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Nep won this one with a total of 4. He got every one correct.
Womp, womp, womp. No, all I did was
Nep at 4, Poda at 3, and me with 1. It was not as clear 1, 2, 3 as the other one was.
I just listened to like what the animal, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, the story helped.
oh yeah.
I'm glad I'm a rat.
But I mean, the basis, these 2 games just show you how perfectly clear it isn't.
True.
Well said.
True enough.
Regardless of which zodiac you go off of, which set of rules you think about, it is all down to interpretation. And no matter what the description, there are some that you feel like they identify with you, and then some that you say, "What? That's not me at all."
But I don't know. I think all of us are also a little bit more aware of who we are in our lives now. You know what I mean? Like, even though I'm not super excited about my shortcomings, I can realize and admit that does properly describe me. You know what I mean? And I think all of us share that in common. I think you guys could, explain your shortcomings and things of that nature too, and see the truth behind it.
That's an interesting point. So, as far as age could enter into it, then, because young people aren't so quick to see their own flaws and they're quick to jump to what they're given. So, I would think that I didn't look up any statistics as far as ages go, but I think when you're younger, you probably would be more into what it tells you. When you're older, whether or not you identify it with it better.
Well, that also depends. Oh, okay. So, like what you're saying, not necessarily what I was saying, like that you see your faults in it, but younger people are more inclined to see the positive attributes of something like that and focus more on that scheme of things.
Well, it's not just that, but I think they're not as quick to admit their faults, but just that as you get older, you have a clearer picture of yourself, and that influences how much you believe in the zodiac or not. Poda?
And I believe there would be pros and cons to that, varied by age, because when you are younger and you're given this information, how more likely are you to take that information in and be like, okay, I can see how you could get that, as opposed to trying to actually reorder your life to live up to the expectation that you think you're supposed to be given anyway.
You see, I think both of those are different ways for a young person to take it. I think older would go neither direction. Ostinius?
They're both true, but man, that's tough. It's the thing is that when you get older, you have a deeper well of knowledge than when you're younger. So when you're younger, regardless of anything else, you have a smaller scope of attention or understanding of the world around you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that ties in because you have less personal experience to go off of. You're more ready to accept when you are given information, when you are given, they tell you how you should be by the star alignment or whatever. When you're younger, you're more malleable. You could even take it and say, yes, I like these qualities. I'm going to adopt them. And you grow into that, whether it applied to you before or not. As a young person, you have more of the ability to change and adapt to the information you're given. But when you're older and you read a horoscope, you're like, I lived 40 years. That's bullshit. Or I lived 40 years and that's true.
That's part of your life and becoming jaded is, you say you dismiss that as bullshit, but what if ultimately it isn't? There is some, like, you're giving us the stories behind this, and because of the stories, Nep was better on the second half of this game than the first half. So what if the knowledge that you're given makes you kind of like biased towards that? And, being older and being able to discern things, because younger generations have a greater imaginative capacity. You play a lot of imaginatory games. You swing swords that are just sticks to fight these incredible enemies because you have this bewilderment to the world. Whereas when you're beaten down, when you're 40 plus or something like that you see things too literally, and it detracts you from the balance that could be somewhere in this realm.
What I'm taking from that is that it's not just age that plays a factor, but also how long you've lived with this information. Like if you've adopted it early, then exactly what you're saying is like your imagination takes over and everything. But if you had, like, say, never even heard of the zodiac or anything until you're already aged and you haven't had the chance to let your imagination play into it, that would change how you perceive it.
Yeah, there's a point that you become jaded and you just cannot see it for what it is because of what you know of the physical reality without the basis of any sort of imaginative capacity.
Right. So if you've grown up on all of it, you don't lose that magic. You don't become jaded from knowing it for too long. You can become jaded from real life actions, from living without the magic for so long that you can't really identify with it when it presents itself finally.
Yeah, and it beats you down to a point where you can't see it. Doesn't mean it's not there. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's there. You know what I mean?
Oh
Is
yeah,
any-
I didn't see a lot of trees before I walked into them.
Yeah, you can't see the trees through the forest, but
Is there anything any of you would have to suggest for those who have become jaded? How do you get a little bit of that magic back? Is there anything you could think of to help rekindle the spark to open your mind to some more fun ways to interpret it? Like maybe not to go out and buy your next lottery ticket based on your lucky numbers, but at least say, oh, that's a fun idea. I wonder if this is true.
okay. There are two things that I would say personally that have given me back some sort of spark of magic. Two things. One is having children, having kids, seeing them, and like even understanding at a certain age that you know exactly what a sunrise is, you know exactly what rain is, you know what the stuff is. But then having a child, a young malleable mind that like when you see the bewilderment on their eyes and you get to kind of experience that again through children, through this new life that's brought into the world, and it's your job to teach them what everything is. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's one major thing. The second thing that I would say that I would not endorse, and by no means is this statement from Rating the Fringe, or this is all speculation of my own. Shrooms. You take shrooms, you see things through a kid's eyes. You are bewildered to amazement. But other than that, I mean, having children, experiencing the wonder and things of that nature, it really is something that, unless you have children or unless you've experienced that yourself, is really hard to explain or compartmentalize. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't intend on taking any sort of psychedelics that would open me up that direction. And as I don't have any kids yet, but I can definitely see, I mean, you see children playing outside, and it's a good idea to try to put yourself in their shoes for a little while and try to reimagine the wonder that once was. As far as that goes, that's about as close as I could get from where I sit. Anyone else have anything else? Any other tips you might have to help bring the wonder back into it?
Relax. Just relax. You're overthinking it. I am super, super guilty of overthinking anything and everything all the time. Hence the statement of I walk into a tree before I see it, because I'm so focused on what might be in those bushes beside me, I'm not looking in front of me. And to drop the metaphors, that really is it. We're hung up on too much stuff that in the big picture doesn't really matter. Like those little stressors, those little politics, those little idiosyncrasies, or whatever it's called, I don't remember the word, where we have oversaturated ourselves with so many opinions and limited facts in our own understanding, basing our opinion on others' opinion without proper indulgence of ourselves. Like, I can read 77 books in a row about the life, benefits, and the medical properties of a dandelion that grows in this part of the northern hemisphere. But I have never walked outside once, looked at it, picked it up, felt it in my hand. You're cutting yourself short.
I would hope that you would have.
Well, I've eaten them.
Dandelion at this point. If you've never picked up a dandelion, Boda,
Go do it now.
Oh no, I've eaten them.
That-
I've set them on fire. I've done many things with those.
But that's a good point though. Let go of the little details. Just try to give yourself that broad overview, and don't try to pay too much attention. It's one thing to pursue knowledge, but that's what jades you is when, like you said, Ostinius, you know what rain is, you know what a sunrise is. You have to let go of that and relax, like Poda said, and just let it go and just appreciate it for what it is. Let your senses take over, your sense of touch and your smell and your sight, and just live in the moment and try to forget that you know how it works and just enjoy it for what it is.
That's actually one of those things that from this show alone that, I was suggested to. Some of these people take these things for granted. And when it's raining and you have the force of nature, some people are control freaks and they want to be in charge of everything. And guess what? You're never going to be in charge of the weather or something like that. And it's a massive, almost spiritual force. And that kind of ties into the whole astrology aspect of it. I think these people, though, kind of give themselves too much into the mysticism without finding a basis of who they are or what reality is concreted.
Well, Lepitz, we're about to wrap up. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nothing that hasn't been said already. I mean, for people to relive the innocence of what they've lost, or trying to relive something, is, I believe, the aspect that all humans, at least this generation and further on, are trying to accomplish, especially our generation. With it was the beginning of the imaginative, type of people, like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. We want to live in a different world, but instead of making the world we live in better, we're more of making a completely different world we can escape to. So, I think that's where we're at right now, and that's where the generations after us are keeping going, except they're expanding on it. So I think everybody's always going to be looking to relive stuff. That's why nostalgia, that's why they're not living in the world today. So, I mean, if you really want to focus in and really try to not be jaded, you got to really look at how you're acting in your own environment, I believe. Like what Poda said, you have to, really pay attention and try not to just believe your own fantasy. You're not a level 35 paladin. You know what I mean? Or
yeah, if you don't accept other truths, then there is no truth but the one you make for yourself.
Yeah. So again, that seems to be something that has come along more along the lines of our generation, than it has in other ones. They're focused on different things, though.
And not risking veering off a little too far, I would say that's a very disposable mindset, and it does leak into the world itself. Like you'd think, like you were saying, where I'm not happy with this world. I lost my magic. I'm going to invent a new one and throw this one away. So don't throw this world away and look for an escape. If you want to open up that magic, I would say, per Nepitz's point of view, I would say, don't create a new world to escape to. Books are awesome. Games are awesome. Keep those as a separate entertainment. But once in a while, try to apply them to your real world. Try to imagine something, or go experience something close to what your imagination's seeking in actual experience. So
that's the whole reason I started doing DAG battles. Like, we grew up I grew up in a fantasy world where, like, my uncle and my dad were teaching me, like, martial arts and how to throw ninja stars, and how to throw knives and how to shoot blowguns and bows and arrows and stuff like that. And then utilizing that to make the whole Daggerier experience. And at a point, there were 12 of us that were coming regularly, and we would battle in the hot summer heat. It was a bit imaginatory, but it wasn't otherworldly. Like, we were still trapped in this world. There was no magic involved, and it was like a recreation of something that we had lost. And I personally really enjoyed that. Knowing that all three of you guys were also involved in that at some point in time, and we have videos of it, is great. I really cherish those times.
I wouldn't mind doing that again sometime this year. I mean, my joints might be older, but we could do a slower pace and still do it.
I'm big and fat. I'm out of shape. If that'll get me into shape, I'm down for it.
Well, I think we'll close it up here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Braiding the Fringe. Keep your minds open. your heart's moving forward, keep your minds active, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode. If you have any thoughts or questions on today's topic, please feel free to leave a comment. Or if you'd like to contact us directly with any feedback or ideas for future episodes, you can email us at ratingthefringe@brainforger.com. Be sure to like, follow, and or subscribe. And for any future episodes, tune in to Facebook, Spotify, Libsyn, or wherever it is you get your podcasts. We look forward to you joining us next time as we raid the fringe.